Welcome back to Summarito. This is a visual guide to Chapter 4 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, The History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. It's about how the wealthy legally keep more of what they earn, and why understanding the rules matters. Rich Dad starts with a short history lesson. Taxes, he explains, weren't always a permanent fact of life. When income taxes were first introduced in countries like England and America, they were temporary, and they were sold to the public as a way to tax only the rich. The idea was popular, a kind of Robin Hood story, taking from the wealthy to fund things for everyone else. The masses happily voted it in. But here's the twist. Once the government had a taste for that money, its appetite only grew. Over time, the definition of who should pay crept downward, until the heaviest burden landed not on the rich, but on the very middle class and working people who had cheered the idea on. The wealthy, meanwhile, had the resources and the knowledge to adapt, and they did. How did they adapt? Through what Rich Dad calls financial intelligence, which he breaks into 4 parts: accounting, or financial literacy; investing, the science of making money grow; understanding markets, the forces of supply and demand; and the law. That last one, knowing the rules, especially around taxes and corporations, is the quiet superpower this chapter is really about. And the rich's favorite legal tool is the corporation. Now, a corporation isn't a grand building full of people. Legally, it's really just a set of documents, a kind of folder registered with the government. But that folder is powerful. It can shield its owner from certain risks, and, crucially, it follows a completely different set of tax rules than an individual does. Here is the difference that changes everything. Look at the order of operations. An employee earns money, the government taxes it first, and they spend whatever is left. Earn, get taxed, then spend. A business owner working through a corporation flips 2 of those steps. They earn money, they spend on legitimate business expenses first, and they're taxed only on what remains. Earn, spend, then get taxed. Same income, very different result. Quick pause. If you're finding this breakdown useful, take a moment to subscribe to Summarito. It's free, it genuinely helps the channel grow, and it makes sure you won't miss the next chapters in this series. Alright, let's get back to the lesson. Why does that reordering matter so much? Because it means a corporation can pay for many of its expenses with pre-tax dollars, while an employee has to pay for things out of after-tax dollars, the money left only after the government has taken its share. Expenses paid before tax simply stretch much further. Over a lifetime, that gap between pre-tax and after-tax spending is enormous. So what can that legal structure actually do, used properly? It can provide a layer of protection, helping separate the owner's personal assets from business risks. It can let income be received, invested, and spent in a more tax-efficient way. And it can hold assets, like real estate or investments, inside the entity. The rich don't just earn more, they organize their money more intelligently. Rich Dad's bigger point is that knowledge is power, and that the wealthy stay proactive about the rules rather than fearful of them. They study the 4 areas: accounting, investing, markets, and the law, and use them together. One honest caution, though: tax laws are complex, they differ from country to country, and they change. This is the book's argument, not personal advice, so for your own situation, it's wise to speak with a qualified accountant or attorney. So the key takeaways from Chapter 4. First, taxes began as a tax on the rich but gradually shifted onto the middle class. Second, financial intelligence has 4 parts: accounting, investing, markets, and the law. Third, the rich use corporations for legal protection and tax efficiency. And fourth, employees earn, get taxed, then spend, while business owners earn, spend, then get taxed, and that order makes all the difference. That's Chapter 4 of Rich Dad Poor Dad. The lesson isn't about dodging taxes, It's that understanding the rules lets you keep more of what you earn, legally. Thanks for watching Summarito. Subscribe for the next chapter.